Hey guys, and what's up TFS? It's your girl Funsize, and I'm back with another fun creation. Welcome to another episode on Self-ish, where we learn how to boost our self-confidence through self-discipline by breaking bad habits and unlearning what we were taught growing up.
Generational hurt.
I just wanted y'all to say it in unison. Yes, the record button is live. Okay, we're going to add the intro and stuff in. Okay. And we're talking about generational curses and generational hurt that we are trying to get rid of. Ooh. Okay, you go. We have to give you a name. We're going to call you M because I already said M. We're going to call you M.
We're just going to stick with M.
Okay, welcome M on our podcast for the day. We also have Sunflower in the background as well.
Hello.
Okay, now. So let's get into this.
So, I describe generational hurt as parents who did the best that they could because their parents did the best that they could. The thing is that we never acknowledged that we were hurt. We only hid the hurt. And especially as African Americans, you weren't allowed to speak on your mental hurt and your pain. You were told to hide that and to put it away because it showed it was a weakness. And as black women, we could not show that weakness.
Ooh. And how do you think you overcame that struggle?
I had to go find mental help. I actually reached out and got some therapy and some medication. I know most people say they don't need the medication, but it does. Because when your mind is racing, it's trying to figure out what to do. It goes into a, what do they call it? Fight or flight.
Okay. I'm about to say a loophole. It goes in that loophole.
It's fight or flight. So some people will fight, some people will fly because they're just not ready for it. But the thing is that in your mind, it stays. It will always stay in the back of your mind.
I'm a flight. I'm working on it.
You're a flight. So it's going to be there. And the thing is that as you go along, what happens is little small shit will trigger it. And you don't even know that that's what it is. So now you're fucking pissed off and like, what is wrong?
And exploding.
And that's because you never dealt with the hurt. You just ran from it, but your mind never let it go. So see, like I take the medication so that my mind will allow it to come to the forefront and actually allow me to deal with it.
Okay, I like how you worded that just now. You was like a poet. I like that. I definitely like that.
Ain't no poet, I just learned.
That part, talk to me.
Life lessons.
Okay, the mindset, baby, the mindset. So here's my thing. Around that time, growing up, do you think it was more easier for y'all to have resources as far as getting therapy or medication, or do you think our time is more easier? Well, it's more accessible. Or do you think you had a better, was it at reach for y'all? Was it like a topic? You get what I'm saying?
To be honest, I'm not sure if it was. It probably was accessible. But like I said, with the family dynamics, that was frowned upon.
You don't talk about certain stuff.
Right.
You turn to Jesus, you go to church. But the problem with that is, once again, I grew up down south. Well, I grew up down south, up north.
Okay. Okay.
Everywhere. Because we had an uncle in the family who was molesting all the girls.
Okay. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that.
And they sent us all to private school. I went to the best private schools. Well, boarding schools. Didn't know then as a teenager that because of the molestation, that's why I was carrying around the anger. It wasn't until I had my second child and this wonderful lady came to me and was like, you just seem so hurt. Like, I had a smile on my face, but my soul was hurt. So she started talking to me.
Okay.
And that's how I got into my therapy.
Yeah. I was about to start screaming through the phone like, yeah.
Because I have had a lot of hurt.
Kudos
but once
to that.
again,
That's
when you don't
yes,
have
that's
that,
big for you.
when you don't have anybody to help you,
Talk about it. Like a mindset coach, a therapist, like yes, an extra friend or a person.
See, not only that, but when you don't have, okay, like now, I'm more open with my kids. My kids can come and talk to me about anything, and that's because I didn't have that.
Right.
So that was one of the things that I wanted to change.
Nice.
I didn't have that open communication with my mom and my family.
So how did you approach that with your kids?
Because
I have a kid.
A lot of people are definitely like that. But hold on, because I want her to finish that thought. Because that's a good question too.
What?
A lot of people feel as though they don't have that dynamic with their parent, and so when they get older, that's something that they definitely, as a love language, they embed into the kids. Like, hey, like I want to be able to communicate with you.
Right, and that's how you start to break that generational hurt. You try to bring things to the table that you didn't receive because your parents didn't know how to deal with their hurt. Because their parents didn't know how to deal with their hurt.
That part.
They were just always told to suck it up and keep moving.
What happens in the house stays in the house.
That part.
Hate that saying.
It's like Vegas. I don't really care for the Vegas joint.
Well, it's
but
a saying.
I mean, y'all not new to my
it's
podcast.
A saying because
so
you don't know how to do it. You don't know how to deal with it. So that's why they say that's why it's that. Because not to get off topic, but my ex used to always say he hated when I said, suck it up, get over it.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
It make my feelings feel like they not validated at all.
Right. But I didn't know how to validate feelings. Because
you wasn't taught that.
I wasn't taught how to validate feelings.
That was a great example. That wasn't even off subject. That was definitely a great example just now for sure.
So you can't show somebody something that you haven't been taught.
But you also got to be willing to learn.
Alright, so we're going to move on to the next one real quick because y'all know I had to tune out real quick. But what was the question that you had for us, Sunflower Sunshine? I be mixing your name up. That's so hilarious.
That's why
because when she first came on the podcast, like if you listen to the previous podcast or earlier podcast, she literally was saying her name outside of her. Oh, we should do that with M too. We're gonna do that at the end. I got a treat for y'all if y'all stay tuned to the end of that. It'll also be a surprise because M doesn't even have any idea. So make sure you hold me like accountable for that. But she said her name was Sunflower and then said Sunshine. So it was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave you at Sunshine Sunflower, and then I think I literally changed your name at the end to something else.
Yeah, it was a roundabout. We're here now.
We're here now, and then I realized I did Sunshine Sunflower, and then when I said, "What was your question?" Sunflower Sunshine. And so you know what? At this point, y'all know it's another person on this podcast, so that's all that matters. But the question was, how do you, for parents?
How did you go about having that open communication?
After therapy and I learned how to communicate, I decided to come to my kids. Because actually, I need to write an apology book to my kids.
Oh,
I
snap.
love that.
I do.
I got to put some O's on that part. Like, oh, snap.
Like I said, I had them young. So growing up, each one of my children has that phase that I was going through. So, like, my oldest, when I had her, I was, like, trying to be mom of the year type shit. Like, I was ironing, like, little baby T-shirts. Like, it was nothing that I wouldn't do for her to make sure she was okay.
Kudos to that, too, because most parents do trial and error with the first. We walking witnesses and testimonies, but go ahead.
It's trial and error. Because as we go along, like I said.
But it's like, oh my God, it's my first.
Right. It's the mindset of mom of the year.
It's mindset. So, like, now she has that mindset of no matter what, my kids come first.
Mm-hmm.
So, with my second daughter, with her, I kind of went into a whole phase.
I can respect that.
So, it was more like, fuck the guys. I'm gonna get mine, kiss you on the forehead, and tell you to kiss my ass.
You're definitely allowed to curse on this podcast. But go ahead. Just wanted to throw that out there.
My bad.
No,
this
you're
is
good.
a regular conversation.
You're good
My
over
bad.
here. It's a safe place. Go ahead.
So, but see, I'm jumping. All right. So let me explain.
The first child, the second child.
Right. But see, the second child, my first daughter's father. My first daughter is the product of a rape.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry that happened to you.
I didn't know how to deal with that rape. So basically, I just took it out on all men.
Gotcha.
So I started using them for what I wanted.
And that's how the second phase came about.
And that's how my second daughter started out.
Okay.
She uses men, but now she's on a spiritual journey to change that.
Yes.
And with my third child, I was in a depressed state.
Okay.
So now he's in that depressed state.
See how it's trickling down?
Generational hurt.
Right.
So I then had to come to them individually and explain that I now realized what I had done.
Okay.
It took some time and some years, because like they're grown now. But I had to explain to them that because I was hurt, I didn't know how to show them the love that they needed growing up.
And that's powerful shit
sure.
right there.
But for me, like thinking about like if my mom comes to me with that conversation, it would heal a lot of hurt.
That part.
Just with that conversation.
The self-awareness.
Just for the accountability and being vocal with me about that.
But once again, if we don't get the help to understand that that's what we need to do,
you'll never know.
Then you never know. And that's what the generational hurt is.
That part.
And because therapy and medication and mental health is so
frowned upon
in the in the African, not only that, but even down south, and see, that's another thing, the difference between growing up down south and then growing up north. It's more of a hush hush, because like I said, we had an uncle in the family that was molesting all the girls,
because everybody knew everybody.
and instead of them addressing it and getting his ass out the family,
they basically
just sent us all off to boarding school,
as if y'all was the problem.
But in their minds, they felt as though that was the only way they knew. I'm not making excuses, but
it's the only way they knew how to do it.
Correct.
Because once again, they were hurt. It was probably a molester when they was kids, and it was a hush hush. So that's why I say I had to tell my kids, I apologize to you. I didn't know how to deal with it, so I didn't know how to show you.
That part. That's how I know your book gonna be a bestseller. You feel me? Okay.
I hope so.
It is. Ain't no hope. It's going down. Look at the passion behind it right now. Like, generational hurt is definitely something we do not talk about in this day and age. All they say about it is, oh, well, my dad wasn't around, or my mom didn't do this, or she didn't teach me that. But what I'm teaching my audience is we have to learn how. That's why I thank you for being willing to do the podcast with us. We have to learn how to be more accountable and actually stop enabling the people and the things that are around us from happening and looking at it. Well, we're normalizing things that shouldn't be normalized. And our era is more so being looked at it like, oh, you guys are the fucked up era and we wasn't doing it. Like you said last night, you said, oh, well, y'all looked at like the punks, the pussies. And I had to bring it to your attention like, no, we only looked at like that because of the fact that we get more help. We got more access to therapy and resources that allow us to, we create, like my podcast or me in general, I feel as though I create a safe place to make people want to come in and feel as though, hey, let me explain what's going on in my life and let me understand that I need this type of help. And if I get this type of help, I have the people that's around me who are willing to take it and, oh, well, maybe they need it too. Whereas it's being looked at like, oh, no, you a pussy. That never happened to me. I didn't need that type of, like you had mentioned when you said, oh, you can give the example too if you feel comfortable with it when you said your grandmom gave it. And you don't have that, I'm asking you so you can voice it so you can have an audio as well.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
When you said your grandmom, when you told her you needed a break.
Oh, yes. So my mom had moved down south.
Right.
My mom moved down south.
Perfect example.
And it was always a thing where we would go to our family members on like a spring break or something, and it wasn't looked at as a break for them, but it was like, hey, that's a break for y'all. But when I mentioned sending my daughter to go see my mom, one, she hasn't seen her in a year, and it was like it's summertime, she got free time, and I'm like, plus I need a break. And my grandma goes, you need a break? We ain't never had no breaks. I had all my kids and never had a break. I had my mom raised kids and never had a break. And that's why you are the way you are.
And that's that part. That right there is the why. Thank you for sharing that example as well, because it went right into the podcast.
Right, and that type of attitude causes resentment.
That part.
And once again,
creating generational hurt.
Because you put the resentment down and you try not to acknowledge that you're resentful for the things that have happened in your life.
That part. Because of how you were taught how to handle it.
And then not only that, just off of the response that she gave me as an adult, I don't feel like I can come to you and express how I'm feeling or what I'm going through.
That's what I wanted to get at.
Even as an adult, for a child, oh, grandma, that's my grandma, that's my grandma. But if you're looking at it as in what our conversations are, what our bond is like, you do nothing but attack. But that's probably because you've only been attacked.
That part.
You are a bartender. You work crazy because your mother had 13 kids. You're the oldest girl. I understand.
So you didn't have a childhood.
You didn't have a childhood.
You was already.
You got pregnant at 15.
You've been raising kids since birth.
You've been raising kids since birth.
Like,
y'all lived in a 3-bedroom house.
And that's where the resentment is building up from. It's building up, and this is grandma. You understand?
And then
you still gotta get the mom and get to you.
And then to me, it sounds like it would be that she's resentful because she didn't have a childhood. So, because you didn't have a childhood, you're not gonna let your kids have a childhood.
But you think you're giving them a childhood.
But you think you're giving them one. And even to the fact of when I started going into dating, it was like questioning who I'm dating. Well, what kind of job they got? Oh no, well you need somebody with 6 figures. And me at that time, it was looked at as disrespect, but it was more so me trying to communicate. It was disrespectful in the manner that I did it, though. I'll say that.
Okay, take some
accountability. But it's more so, well, which one of your 4 husbands ever made 6 figures?
All right, but you gotta look at it this:
Ooh,
we always want better.
I am 19.
You want better for your kids than what you had.
We are 19 years old. What 19-year-old is making 6 figures?
A lot of them at that time.
I mean,
but you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna storytell it. A lot of them, we just wasn't in them situations. That just goes into
I
everything we
understand
saying
that,
now.
but at the same time, it's like your thought isn't, what is he doing for your mental? What are they doing for you to make sure that you're okay? Other than what's the dollar? My issue became I started thinking, okay, well, if you ain't got $1 for me, you can't help me because we don't have no beneficial. It's not, you know what I mean?
Which is also crazy because not to cut you off, I get where you're going with it. I definitely know what you mean. I'm gonna piggyback off of it. It's also crazy because that's like the conversations we started having.
Yes.
We also will be comfortable enough to say, again, we're normalizing things that shouldn't be normalized. What she was trying to say out loud is, okay, you're saying I'm coming over here and telling you this one thing about the person. I'm feeling comfortable enough to even tell you I'm dealing with somebody. And you just shut me down by saying, well, what do they make? Well, you need somebody else that can do this. Now, not only am I not confident in myself, I'm not confident in the person that I'm choosing. Which then again leads to the whole point of my podcast, because you're new on here. We are all about boosting our self-confidence through boosting self-discipline. So all you told her at that time was, oh yeah, well, you need to now second guess on the woman that you are, who you attract, what they can attract, and what they can bring in, and how you can benefit from them. Instead of it being oh well, what can y'all give each other? It was being looked at like, okay, well, no, what can you get out of this relationship? And that right there is what you about to say. Go ahead.
What I'm about to say is, once again, you got to go back to what did her parents tell her.
Understandable.
But
you have got to find a man that's gonna take care of you.
Understandable. But then y'all can't sit over there and say I'm trying to give you the opposite of what I had.
And see, I've been told that
when you're pushing me into that same pattern.
You still fall victim to certain patterns. If you're not fully taking accountability, getting the help that you need, and changing your mindset.
And that statement right there was literally just self-awareness, like, in this conversation.
I'm proud of you for that.
Like, definitely just paying attention to it.
I'm proud of you for that. Good job.
Like, okay, let me put it like this. I had to forgive my mom.
Okay. Which most of us on this podcast have to do.
The reason is the forgiveness is pretty much not for her.
Yes.
But for me.
Yes.
Because once again, you got to put yourself in their. I say put yourself in their shoes at that time. What were they being told? So now that I got the self-awareness that I have, I can look at my mom and understand what she went through.
For sure.
So me growing up with my grandmother, I can look back and say, oh, okay, this is what she went through.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know how to deal with it. So because they didn't know how to deal with it, it snowballed into just pain.
Right.
And you're not trying to reflect that pain on people and kids, but because you can't deal with your own pain, it just
Pours out of you.
yeah, it just kind of pours out on the other people.
Yeah, one thing that I definitely
It's not
noticed,
intentional, but
mm-hmm.
it's just one of them things that you've never dealt with it yourself.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, like, with a past relationship I had, it was a domestic relationship. And within my depressive state, I've noticed my daughter getting angry and lashing out. And then got out the situation, seen her light. Then now I still go into my little depressive states. I can see her react to my energy.
Because you're now aware. Whereas before, you weren't.
I was not.
So that's what I'm saying. That's how that generates. Yeah. Now you've caught it.
For sure.
And you've caught it at an age where it may have, got to her, but because you caught it and you recognized it, it may not damage her.
And that's what, like, I want the relationship how you say you and your kids have, to where they can come to you about anything.
I'm working on it.
I'm
working on it.
I don't know.
Look how far we come. Look how far we came.
No.
I'm patient in that because I got some boundaries. Hold on. No.
Right. It's certain things.
We working on it.
It's certain things that you can, like, you still gotta. It's still gotta be a respectful conversation.
Acknowledging baby steps.
But I still want you to be able to say, when you're interested in starting to have sex, hey, mom.
Right, I mean, like those conversations.
We're teaching
but like,
parenting to her so she can learn how to gently communicate with us.
Right, like you don't got to tell me everything. You're never gonna tell me everything.
That's not true. I thought the same thing.
I mean,
I thought the same thing. They weren't gonna tell me everything. my baby girl. When I say tells me everything. To the point where I'm like, oh, shit, I don't know if I really wanted to hear that.
But noticing, because we're going to get sidetracked, so I got to bring y'all back on topic. Notice how, again, generational hurt, how you said in the beginning, oh, I wanted to have this communication with her that I didn't have with my parents. Right, that's why I don't
shut it down.
That part. Whereas she was sitting over here saying earlier, well, when I had the situation with my grandmom, you had to understand why it made me feel uncomfortable to even be open up, to even say, oh, well,
right, because you got shut down.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I do, like I said, I try to be mindful, and I be like, hey, a little bit too much information.
Right.
I don't want to shut her down, but sometimes my mind be like, shit, I don't want to hear this.
But thank you so much for being comfortable to share that, though.
That's how my dad
But thank you for being comfortable to share it. Cause
I'd let her go ahead and get it out, say what you got to say, but, you gotta remember I'm your mama.
I'm your mama at the
right,
end of the day.
But even with my parents, I tried to have a conversation with them on my birthday this year. My dad literally said, well, I went through it, so just deal with it. She was right there. It was like, I went through it. So it's like, I don't want her to to shut down like I shut down.
Right, but see, here's the thing. Like I said, congratulations, you caught it early. A lot of people don't.
Right.
I didn't get it until my damn kids were already, 16, 18, and shit, even with my son, I didn't catch it with him until he was 17.
Mm-hmm.
So, the awareness that you have already saw it at such, that you've caught yourself, and she's at such a young age.
Talk to her.
You're already stopping the damage.
Right.
you've already acknowledged that, you know, I need to pay attention because the way I feel reflects her, the way she feels.
Mm-hmm.
Because, see, that's what a lot of people don't know either, is that our kids are so protective of us. They're more protective of us than we are of them.
Correct.
Right.
So when we're hurt, they hurt.
Even more.
But we don't see their hurt.
Because
Right.
they don't have the proper words to communicate it. And even if they did, we so blinded by our emotions and feelings.
Well, see, not only that, but because they're so young, they don't know.
Then the kid bad.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. They don't have the words already in their mind that they're trying to say. So they don't know how to communicate it. They only know how to communicate it with actions and what they've been taught. So even if they do learn to express it to us, another thing that I was saying before we got cut off was the fact that we are so blinded by our emotions and our feelings, because those are two different damn things, at the time, that we don't even notice when they're actually trying to give us self-help because of our upbringing. And we're looking at it like, oh, well, you're a child and you don't really know and I'm supposed to protect you. And there's so many things that come into account when you are literally getting chastised, because that's what it is. You get chastised by your own child, that you look at it like, no, like I've been stuck in my ways. Yeah, you not honoring what I'm saying. And that's why I'm also, you know, babe, I'm big on letting you know your roses while you're alive. Like, it's definitely ways to show her. I've also been telling her, like, when it comes to the kids, we need to be mindful of what we teach them, because kids learn through mimicking. They don't just learn through reading and books, and they learn from TV, the shit that they see, and mimicking.
Well, they actually learn from the environment.
Right.
Exactly.
Like bongos won't even touch the door.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Like
Bongos won't even touch. We call her bongos. Bongos won't even touch the door because she see that she opens the door for me.
For those of you who do not know, but you listen to other podcasts, because Emma's like, bongos, you losing me. She probably thinking of the song. Bongos is Susu's nickname that we gave her. So she calls sunflower without the sunshine. She just says sunflower when she wants her. And she calls me Stitch because I love Lilo and Stitch. Like, I'm a Stitch fan. So she'll be like, Stitch! And I call her Bongos because, like, literally she just loud as hell. Like, she walk heavy, she loud. Like, and then at the time when I called her, she didn't like the name. So I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Like, I'm going to give you the name you don't like. But literally, by the time we got out the car, I called her, like, her nickname from me is best friend. So I'm like, best friend. She's like, my name is Bongos. I'm like, oh, yeah, like,
Bongos. You like that?
You like that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm teaching her, like, at the end of the day, Bongos, yeah, she won't, like you said, the example you was about to give before I cut you off. I just wanted to let y'all know who Bongos was. It's not an extra name of the song or a person in the car, but Bongos.
It's the kid.
It's the kid. She's the kid. So, moving forward, we'll name her Bongo. So if y'all hear Bongo, that y'all know who that is. So, because we don't need the name drop anymore. But,
right. So, yes. So, Bongos won't even, like, she won't touch the door. But going off of what you were saying, like, even I could be having my moment in her trying to confide and say, you know, come and tell me it's okay. She'll come like, Mom, can I get a hug? It's not for her. It's for me.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've noticed over time. Like, you see that because I'll sit there and ask Stitch for a hug. Or she'll ask me for a hug. Like, or she'll be going through her breakdown. Do you need a hug? Or when she needs attention, she'll start to act up. Okay, you know what? In a couple minutes, you can come downstairs in the kitchen with me and help me cook. Or watch me cook.
Yeah, because she wants your attention.
The attention.
Right, but what I've also been teaching both of them, and my audience as well, is y'all have to understand that we are normalizing things that shouldn't be normalized. Because of our upbringing. Because we're thinking about gently parenting our child. Because we were so roughly handled with our caregivers growing up. What I'm also embedding into my unionship is we can't sit over here and make her an enabler. So if she's acting out and she being disrespectful, yes, I'm, making you aware of where she's getting it from, but now that you're aware, how can we handle these situations so in the future she's not looking at it like that? I'm very mindful of the things that she watched. I'm mindful of how I talk to her mom in front of her. I'm mindful of, like, even when you see me get her the door and all of that for Sunflower, that's literally what I normally do on a day-to-day basis. I am teaching her untoxic love and what healthy love actually looks like. Even if your mother isn't with me, understand that at the end of the day, whoever she's with, these are now the standards that she's looking for. So your child is now looking for it. Like Bongos is 6. For those of you who do not know, like, Bongos is 6 and believes in eating sushi. Girl, I didn't have my first sushi until I was 30 something. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like, I didn't eat sushi until I was 30 something. But you were 6 and you were getting back rubs. You were getting bedtime stories. Like, full showers, and then come in the room. She got her own lotion. She got her own. Listen, we done gave them tote bags, so we teaching them how, if they ever run a room, you got to start out small. Learn how to carry your tote bag. So when you get independent and want to leave us, you are comfortable with that tote bag. Like, this
more so organization.
That part, you already got your stuff together. Because when I moved in my room, sidebar-ish, like, when I first moved away from my mom co-signed for me and my best friend to live in the same house, in different rooms. And I felt so nasty. Like, my OCD cringed. I didn't want to share bathrooms with people. They didn't clean up. It was like a bug around. Like, child, was on 18th Street. Like, 18th in Cleveland. So it was like, yo, I am so uncomfortable here. Like, I got to share my shower. Like, I'm used to living in a house full of 15 people. You understand? So it's like, we clean up. We get this together. But I'm also used to everything being a mess. So I'm also used to leaving my shit in the bathroom and not functioning with other people around me because I know my mom and them's going to come in and clean it up. Whereas my mom's like, you can't be like that at this crib, bro. You got to have that bag. You got to put this in there. I'm like, Mom, I don't want to carry my stuff. Like, I got to keep carrying everything back and forth. She was like, this is age coming out. She's like, you can just get a bag to put it in, right? you can just carry it back and forth. Hence, when I got with you, I'm like, well, we could just give them tote bags. It was something that was already embedded into me back on subject, like I was saying.
Right.
Exactly. The shower caddy. And my whole thing is, like, I'm learning also while trying to teach my audience and my family back at home that, like, it all has everything to do when you say you want to break generational curses, which I'm learning today to label it as generational hurt. If you want to break that, you have to understand where it starts from. And so you can work on that inner work, which is the whole basis of this podcast, so you can boost your self-confidence with some self-discipline. And like I've been getting off subject with, but not getting off subject, what I'm trying to let people honor is... Go ahead, what you about to say?
Go ahead, finish your statement.
No, that's what I was about to say. I'm like, my whole thing is, like, I'm also, like, with Babe grabbing her self-awareness today and everything that's going on, I'm making it very known that we cannot enable the people that are around us, regardless if they are family members, regardless if they're our kid, regardless of, people at work. We have to hold them accountable for the things that they do and how they treat us.
You have to be mindful.
And like I said, hopefully you learned something from this podcast as a takeaway. And if you are looking for more ways to fall in love with your self-love journey and you don't want to wait for a podcast, check me out over on my YouTube channel at Funsize Creations, where you can see me and all of my facial expressions and my shenanigans. You can also check me out over on TikTok at Funsize Photography, so you can check out some of my portfolio work, as well as I'm getting everything together with teaching you guys how to boost your self-confidence through creating self-discipline. So literally, that's the end of this podcast. I'll leave it right there, even though I'm going to add the outro right about now. With that being said, guys, if you are looking for help on your self-love journey, you are looking for an accountability partner or someone who can actually give you that little push that makes you feel like, if I just had that little bit of help, that little bit of energy, that little bit of courage, that step-by-step program and process that can help me, you are in the right place. And I want to say thank you for being a part of this team. With that being said, guys, I'm going to end this off how I end off all of my videos by saying, be you, do you, and be true. But more importantly, remember, learn to love yourself before trying to love someone else. Get out of here and do one thing today that will get you out your comfort zone, because somebody has to say it. Later for now, guys, and brrr.